Well, we'll just give it another minute or two before we get started. Okay, let's get started. Uh, Welcome back. Welcome to 2026. Hope everyone had a really nice, restful couple of weeks off. Um, this is call 21 in the PQ Interop series. So yeah, we try to stick with the same kind of format structure each week. We start off with client updates, and we tend to go in reverse alphabetical order so we can uh, pick on Gajinder to lead us off. So, Zine team.
Hi, Will. Hello, everyone. Very happy New Year. And yeah, the updates are that we basically stabilized and made Zim client a little bit more robust in terms of dealing with memory issues by handling some pruning, both on the states that we were caching as well as the fork choice pruning that we were earlier not doing. And we also plan to introduce a PR that actually does straight pruning as well. So that would be a spec PR, and that is something that will require every client to implement because it's a consensus change. And basically, it's about pruning the justifications, and that PR is something that we will put in this week. Apart from that, we put in PR for aggregation of the attestations using LeanVM, and that PR has been merged. So we are assuming that most of the clients would be working on it, and hopefully by next week, I hope that most of the clients would be ready for DevNet 2. And then we are also planning for the next DevNet where we will separate out the aggregator role. The current aggregator role is held by the proposer itself. So we will have a separate aggregator role, and then we'll start doing experimentation on the kind of P2P network that that would that is best optimized for this for lean Ethereum. So that is sort of the plan. Yeah.
Fantastic. Amazing update. Thanks, Gajinder. Ream team.
Yeah, so for us, before the new year, we integrated the precursor PR for signature aggregation. As for this week, we are working on obviously integrating the aggregation PR. We are also working on the sync features so that our nodes can catch up if they dropped off in the middle or if they started late. Um, As for state pruning, I think Kobe just asked in the one of the chat whether we can prune the states older than 128 slots. I think we went ahead and applied this into Ream already. So just a note on that. And on other stuff, yeah, there's so the prod keys, the lean spec has been updated and the signatures generating before the change by Toma, the keys would be incorrect, so they have to be regenerated. So we just finished regenerating that and integrating that back into the test vectors. So hopefully, starting from the last comment in the main branch in the inspect right now, the test vector should be testable. So basically, you should be able to verify signatures generated from the test vectors. Um, and Oh yeah, and we also just did a refresh to Lean Roadmap website, leanroadmap.org. Um, so a couple of things we listed lean multisig benchmarks in there. I just took it out from lean multisig repo. We listed out the devnets, both past and present, and also updated a bit of the resource listing. So that's just posted our tweet, and obviously that the website is leanroadmap.org.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Clean.
Hey everyone, and happy New Year. Yeah, on our side, so mostly was working on stabilizing DevNet 2. Kind of, we have clean working with other clean clients with aggregations already, but yeah, kind of need to ensure that everything works according to spec. And then I believe, I don't know, in the nearest future we might even start checking Interop. So stabilizing this. In parallel, trying to kind of make a version of Clean which we would be able to use for networking analysis of DevNet 2, so that basically, we can configure. Basically, we can replace the real cryptography with kind of fake cryptography, because this is not something that matters a lot for networking stuff, so that we can configure kind of the size of the aggregations, aggregation rates for signatures, all of that stuff. So working on this so that we can check how the Net2 performs when we have a lot of nodes, and this hopefully will kind of give some picture whether it makes sense to optimize anything on P2P layer. Other than that, I've been working on some improvements for the logging so that they are a bit more clear and easier to read. And working on memory issues. So basically just introducing persistent storage with pruning for states and blocks. So the new PR that Gajender mentioned, I think we'll need to check it out and maybe wait for this before we merge this PR. And I think that's all from us. Thanks.
Thanks, Camille. Lantern.
Yep. Hi everyone. Happy New Year. So from my side, basically preparing for DevNet 2. Basically started with creating C bindings for the lean VM XMSS repository, lean multisig repository, based on the DevNet 2 branch. And then started implementing the lean spec PRs that merged into Lantern for DevNet 2. And as well as have reached the part where the spec tests are passing. The signature tests, I was waiting on the right scheme to be working for in the lean spec, but I guess the Ream team just gave us an update that it's working now. So I'll just be working on fixing that in Lantern so the tests are passing. And as well as been experimenting with request and response routes in Lantern. Basically, I think 2 days ago in lean spec, there were some changes to remove lean underscore from the protocol ID. So you now just have blocks by root. So I've just been implementing that as well. And I guess in terms of next steps for DevNet 2 is trying to interop with other clients when they're ready. So yeah, that's our update. Thanks.
Thanks, Mahir. Lighthouse.
Thanks, Will. Happy New Year, everybody. So yeah, on Lighthouse part, I've mostly spent my time like clearing out a lot of backlog that I had in code, and like improving logging and then telemetry for us. I had some like issues in DevNet 1. Like there was a consensus bug in my in the code, so I fixed that, and then I've also fixed the syncing issue. So I think I should be able to push out a image with that. And yeah, I've also started work on the aggregation, signature aggregation part. So I think Lighthouse is probably on track for DevNet 2 as well. Oh, there's one more thing I wanted to add. I have posted a PR for dynamic validator list, but it's not completely required at this moment, but it would be nice to have.
Great. Thanks, Mouse. Grandine. Just throw it out there, see if the next two teams have anything that they want to provide an update on.
Yes. Hi. So we plan to open source the client sometime very soon, maybe next week or something like this, and essentially working on being fully compatible with upcoming DevNet. But yeah, I think once open sourced, it will be some cleanup and integration stuff that is needed to be done. So yeah, I think we are focusing mostly on that now.
Very excited. Thanks, always. Looking forward to that. And welcome to ETH Lambda. I don't know if anyone from the team is on that wants to provide an intro or say any words.
Yeah. Hello. Happy New Year to all of you. I'm Thomas or Mega from the ETH Lambda team. I can give you like the current status of the client. We already have a working integration with Lean Quick Start, and we are currently parsing validator config files and dialing validators as startup. We also are currently receiving status requests from other clients. And we are basically right now trying to catch up to the first two devnets. We are currently working on connecting to Gossip's app and listening for new logs as our first milestone.
Great. Welcome, Thomas. Okay, so that wraps up client updates as far as I can see. Let's jump to research and spec updates. I don't know, Thomas, Emil, Benedict, one of you has any updates or wants to kick us off?
I can give a brief update on the spec and stuff. So my goal now, at the beginning of this year, is like to transform, like to add components to the Lean spec to try to build like a minimal Python client in order for the spec not just to compile and to give like spec stuff, but also maybe to be able to run as a client. So I am trying to build a very minimal stuff next to the spec so that we can run the Python as a client. So for example, I am building some very minimal peer-to-peer components to be able to run this. I try to do that without any external dependencies, so that instead of using Python lip2p, for example, or stuff like that, I am trying to build a very minimal component so that afterwards, if we want, for example, to tweak a component, to modify some algorithm, to check some stuff with regards to the post-quantum aspect of the signatures, then we can easily modify component without worrying about external dependencies that should limit us. So I am trying to do that a bit. During the holidays, we have also merged in the spec couple of PRs about like signature aggregation, cleaning up the repo a bit by removing stuff that are not used anymore, this kind of stuff. So that will be my goal beginning of this year. On the cryptography side, Emil can give like an update on the LinVM, but yeah, we are trying to improve the LinVM. I think that Emil did a great job at simplifying the VM and all of this stuff. So we are trying to move forward on this front to be able also to include the LinVM as a minimal spec as well inside the Lin spec as soon as possible. I don't know when it will be done, but as soon as possible.
Yes. Thank you. If you want, I can continue if you want.
Yeah, please go on.
So on my side, I am working a lot on recursion. I am quite close, but still some work remaining, but I am fully working 100% on recursion right now. About integrating LinVM in the Python spec, Justin gave me this idea recently because currently to write the recursion and the XMSS program, there is this high-level ZK DSL that has been specially designed to make the high-level program compile to the low-level Lean ISA. And Justin gave the idea that we could potentially try to make this high-level ZK DSL a subset of Python in order to be able to directly integrate it to the specification written in Python. So in some sense, we would use the same Python source code both for the spec and to compile to the low-level Lean ISA. I'm not 100% sure how easy it will be, but I just wanted to mention this idea because if we can make it work, it would be a very elegant way to conclude the integration of LinVM into the specification. That's it for me.
Very cool, Emil. What's the DSL called? Not lean by chance.
I don't know. Currently, there is no official name. I don't know.
Okay. Any other spec or research related updates? Cool. Maybe let's jump to metrics and observability. And if someone could close the loop on where we're at with DevNet 1 and kind of our machines required for long-running DevNet.
Yes, hello everyone. Happy New Year. So I can make a quick retrospective of DevNet 1, at least what I worked on these holidays. I want to wrap it into the HackMD, but sorry, didn't have much time, so I will just share it in the chat. Quick item list. I found some issues for DevNet 1 and I shared with the teams. They were like memory and storage issues, also regress issues and finalization issues. And I've also noticed that different clients have different Genesis anchor blocks regarding target and source. So some clients report that they have zero target and source, and others report that they have like Genesis block source and core. That potentially might cause an issue with when starting the DevNet. So I'm still investigating this. We'll share the updates later. So the next big issue is syncing, the lack of syncing, but currently the clients are working on this. So when we don't have syncing, it means we lose one or two clients and we fail with finalization. And for long-term DevNets, we definitely need syncing so clients can jump off and on from the DevNet, and that would make the DevNet stable. And also for this, we need dynamic validators count, because if we start with 5 validators, 5 clients, and later we lose 2 clients, so we don't have like enough votes, attestation votes, so all the DevNet fails. So these are the issues with the DevNet, and currently I'm waiting for new images from the clients. They are working on the fixes, etc. And thank you for collaborative work. The logs were improved, and the dashboard is also like moving forward. And the plan from the observability side is to deliver metrics for aggregated signatures. And I shared the PRs in the chat, which need your attention. So I'd like nodes info, some stats, reorgs, and syncing. This would be nice to have for DevNet too. And I'm going to build the shared Grafana dashboards for clients so they can also see what happens on the DevNet 2 side, so monitor their own nodes, compare with other nodes. And yeah, I guess that's it. Maybe it will take 1 or 2 weeks for managing this, and we'll share the updates later. And probably we'll add Grafana log if it's possible with this setup, so you can see the logs as well. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Katya. Any other updates?
Just to add to the long-running DevNets, I think so. Basically, thanks a lot, Katya and Partha, for doing this and keeping the DevNets up and trying to run them again and again. So all the issues that that you guys have sort of published and distributed among the teams, and I think teams will continually work on it and improve it, and we will see the stability increase, but we will not stop going to DevNet 2, for example, on the next week, just to basically uh, so what will happen is that the long running DevNet will now change into long running DevNet 2 next week onwards, and we will continue debugging these issues on the next version of it. So we will not basically wait for any of these issues to finally resolve, but our aim is to finally have a long running DevNet. And I think what we really need to work on is basically make sure that finalization keeps progressing, even when intermittently clients can have issues and they can also crash, and they can come back up. And for that, we basically also need checkpoint sync, and that is something that we are trying to add in Zeem, and then we will basically also raise a spec PR uh, to basically publish spec PR for the API to fetch the checkpoint state, and we will only focus on the finalized checkpoint state. So whatever finalized is with the clients, and they will only serve that checkpoint state. They don't need to serve anything more than that, and that is what they will be serving as well. So we will keep the scope limited, but make sure that we can restart the clients using checkpoint sync, and then block by root request response should be able to help clients sync up to the tip. So this is the plan, and again, the focus is that even when client have the intermittent issues, finalization keeps on progressing. So we have a long-running DevNet. So with that regard, we still have some hoops to jump to the point where we basically reach and say that, okay, we can have long-running DevNet. I think we have had the DevNet run for a day when we start seeing these issues, and as we fix more and more of these things, we will be able to start elongating the life of the DevNet.
Thanks, Gajendra. Partha, with your note you dropped in the chat, are you blocked on getting those additional machines? Is that something that you would need help with, or you're just sort of giving us a heads up?
Sorry, not blocked really. I just passed in as an information. I'll speak to Eat Panda Ops and yeah, work with the Katya to get that ready.
Great, thanks. Okay, I think that's sort of the conclusion of the structured part of the program. I don't know if there's plenty of room here for open discussion items, if anyone wants to table anything.
Yeah, I just want to add something more because Katya mentioned that not every team out there has their sort of channel in which she can post issues. So we already have a channel for DevNet, and I think every other client, so whichever team member from the other clients are involved in fixing and ensuring long-running DevNet, so they can join in. And like Katya or Partha, or I can add them to this particular channel so that we have a good coordination over these things.
And a quick update from Bream's side. So Sharik just mentioned in the chat that he managed to integrate the new test vectors into Ream, and they're passing. So at least now we know the lean spec, the signature, the keys generated from lean spec should be compatible with the Rust-based lean sec code base.
Should we use the tablet chat for metrics as well? Because like metrics are unified for all clients. I don't know if if it makes sense to, to make multiple chats. Maybe it will be enough, like to do it in one chat. So I can share metrics, new metrics, PRs, etc. If no objections, yeah, let's get back to it in the DevNet chat.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, I guess like the same chat is fine because it's quite a small group, and I guess like too many chat groups and we get lost. So I would vote for same chat until it gets like really messy.
To be honest, I really miss Discord. I don't know how you deal with the Telegram chat, but in the Discord, when you see all the channels and you can make threads, I don't know, for example, I have this PR and I can open a thread specifically for this PR and discuss it. That was actually quite helpful. I don't know, how do you feel about this?
I'm happy to support whatever. Yeah, I don't want to force people to have to work in a specific way. So I'll just leave it to the team leads to determine where they feel best working.
If no other topics, just curious what other teams thinking should be the feature set for DevNet 3. Yeah, so Gajender mentioned something about regarding like P2P optimizations. There were also talks like maybe introducing recursive aggregation or decoupling kind of the aggregator role from proposer. I don't know. Any ideas?
Yeah, I think if lean VM is ready with recursive aggregation, then we will definitely have recursive aggregation, and apart from that, separating out the aggregator role. So I think this is sort of the main focus. This should be the main focus for DevNet 3. And if there is any P2P optimizations that we can start looking for, I mean, for DevNet 3, let's freeze the scope to this, and then maybe for DevNet 4 onwards, we can start talking about P2P optimizations. Do you have any proposals out there, Kamil?
I'm just thinking from that regard. I mean, if we introduce recursive aggregation, as I wrote in the chat, like, yeah, we need to think a bit how to kind of introduce this properly, because if we just split kind of the network into the subnets, then it's not really compatible with the existing consensus model, because we kind of we have the safe target in the third interval of the slot, and it expects that every validator can observe 2/3 of all signatures. And if we split it into subnets, then validators, they can only observe kind of the signatures from their subnet, which is less than 2/3. I mean, for the in general case. The workaround for
In
that is
my
just
in
simply
my
put
I
everyone.
just want to interject over here. In my opinion, I think so validators will listen to the aggregated signatures across everything, across all subnets, and only the aggregators will basically listen to their own subnets for aggregating their signatures. So in that sense, all validators should have signatures in the fourth interval, right? So in the third interval, the aggregated signatures are supposed to be created and published. So uh, every validator, in my opinion, should have most of the network view in the last interval.
Yes, that's the way. But for that to work, yeah, we clearly need to kind of decouple the aggregator role from the proposer. So this is definitely, from my opinion, should be, well, in the closest DevNet, or maybe, I don't know, the one after this, if we
Yeah,
yeah.
so I think we want to do that in DevNet 3. So
Mhm.
Kamil, if you can sort of lead on this particular spec, I think that would be really nice. So that we can leverage your expertise on this.
Okay, so just to be clear, so DevNet 3, we don't do recursive aggregation. We only do kind of aggregator role separately,
So
right?
we can have recursive in DevNet 3. I mean, I don't see an issue. I mean, it's about the readiness of lean VM.
Yeah, it's just we can do this. It's just a bit it's a bit more features. Like if we do this, then we kind of need to have both local aggregators and then global aggregators. And there are so many aggregations.
So
As I said,
let's say we don't have global aggregators. Global aggregator could just be the proposer. Right now we have proposer who is doing, all the aggregation. But now once the aggregator role is out there, then the aggregators, these specialized aggregators will aggregate on their subnet. And if, for example, proposer sees that attestation data is same across different attestations it wants to pack and which are across different subnets, then it can do a global aggregation as well. So I mean, right now we can keep the global aggregation role with the proposer, and in the DevNet tree, basically we can say that okay, uh, we can have recursive aggregation if the feature is available at that point, and if not, basically then it gets pushed out to the next DevNet.
Yeah, and another question, like what's the expected number of validators DevNet 3 should handle? Because this also kind of defines like what should be the approach. I mean, one way to
We should try to go to 100, I guess. Now we can start looking at these numbers.
Yes.
What is the validator set you think we should start off with?
Yeah, for that we're really working hard trying I'm trying to prepare this DevNet2 networking analysis to kind of make it clear how much we can scale. One thing we should keep in mind is that aggregation size is 800 kilobytes right now, and yeah, that's basically increases the block size a lot. So the propagation can be really slow if we just I know that this is just temporary, and yeah, we are working on plenty of optimization. It's
Sorry,
just the state. Yeah.
I'm not sure to understand where this number of 800 kilobytes comes from. Because on the DevNet 2 branch, unless I'm mistaken, the proof size is approximately something like 400 kilobytes or something like this.
Okay. Yeah, maybe it's something on our side in clean, because yeah, I just wrote a test and printed the size of the aggregation. It was like 800 kilobytes, but maybe it's less. I'm just saying that as now when we introduce the aggregation, yeah, the block size has this aggregation, and we cannot simply propagate to large number of participants the huge block. One way to solve this, if the block size is the problem and how much is the problem, yeah, I will try to answer in the networking analysis, is to work on things like coding broadcast, on which Raul's team is also actively working on. But yeah, then there will be a question like, if we decide that yeah, we need to optimize block propagation with a coding broadcast, for example, then yeah, when to introduce this, or we might also need this not only for block propagation but also for aggregation propagation itself once we split the aggregator role and proposer role, because like the aggregator prepares the aggregation and it needs to be propagated also as soon as possible. Anyway,
So
I'm
Kamil,
hoping. Yep.
I think you would definitely be seeing 8 kilobytes block sizes, because right now there could be either more than one
Yes.
attestation aggregated, and we also have proposer signature which is separate. So I mean, so it is, I think, very viable to see 8K kind of sizes just for signatures part of it, even though one aggregated signature could be 4 kilobyte.
Yeah, I mean, Raul's team is testing for 2 megabytes blocks. I mean, they're testing the effect of a coding broadcast on 2 megabyte blocks, I believe. I should double check on this. In our case, we have smaller blocks and even smaller aggregations.
So
And
even though
yeah.
we are doing this analysis, but I don't see a current issue in our current DevNet setup, because what we are doing is it's all in a single data center, and there is no speed or bandwidth quota between the machines. So as such, in terms of our DevNet expectation, I think it won't really matter much. But yes, this is something that is definitely we need to figure out.
Yeah, we're trying not to ignore these things. I mean, the real world bandwidth between nodes and latencies, and even packet losses, which is why, something like Shadow is becoming really useful for that. So yeah, when we do tests, we actually using real world bandwidth and latencies. I mean, just so that we not suddenly realize that this is the problem. So yeah, we're trying to signal this as soon as possible. Just trying to kind of understand the picture, whether we want to first do optimizations or introduce as much features as possible. Because one approach could be just optimize just a single subnet as much as possible. Another approach could be introduce multiple subnet, I mean, recursive aggregation, things like this. Just thinking out loud, sorry.
Right. And for DevNet 3, Kamil, so there is an item for you then, as we already discussed, that you will basically propose a spec for subnet creation and subnet aggregation, and then global aggregation by the validator, by the proposer. So I think if we can start seeing some work on it, then it would be good even before basically, we start seeing DevNet 2 in action, so that, we can have a jump start on what kind of issues that will come up and what is, so we have our thinking aligned on all the things that you mentioned.
Okay. And maybe also question slash kind of asking for opinion. What is the expected number of aggregators once we kind of split the role of aggregator and proposer? I mean, Justin was talking about like kind of having 10% of the nodes from the subnet to be having like an aggregator role. Is it still the case, or we can just get started with something really small? I mean, as small as just a single aggregator, or something like 3 aggregators, maybe something similar to what we have in BLS aggregation. Any thoughts on that?
So again, I think if we are trying to do it committee sizes, then I mean maybe 128 committee size would be enough, right? So we use the same thing. But if we just have 100 validators, then we can reduce the committee size as well, right? So
Okay.
in the end, I think this size would basically mostly be dependent on how fast things can be aggregated, and so how many aggregations can happen in a single interval, and that could basically be dependent upon the efficiency of LeanVM. But if it's sufficiently efficient, then I think capping the committee size at 128 should be fine, right?
Just to add to that, would it matter as well with the number of validators we have in the system? Because otherwise, like if you're only testing with like 64 validators and we have like community size of 128, then
Yeah. So if we
it's
have 100 validators, then we'll need to lower the committee size. I think we can do it via config. So we will have this as a config variable that can be provided in the validator config, and clients can do it. So, but yes, that makes sense. So if the total number of validators are low, then we can lower this committee size.
To summarize a bit things, personally, from a research point of view, I think that what is important in the next DevNets, or like the next weeks or months, is like signature aggregation and its recursive way, because this is what we want to test with all of these DevNets, the post-quantum aspect of things. So as soon as things are ready on the LeanVM, we should try to integrate as soon as possible in the spec, and so as soon as possible in the devnet, so that we are testing exactly what we want, and we are integrating the post-quantum features as soon as possible. Then for me, there is a second aspect that you discuss, guys, under the hood with all of the back and forth that we just had. It's the peer-to-peer layer, because like the post-quantum objects are bigger and larger than BLS objects. And so, of course, we will have like adjustment to make about the peer-to-peer layer with like subnets, committees, and all of these, a number of validators, also probably like new peer-to-peer algorithm. I think that Camille, you are an expert on this. Raoul also at the EF internally is working with his team on new peer-to-peer system. So I think that we can do these two things in parallel. We don't need to do this right now. We can do this as async in channels, in discussion and stuff. But I think that doing benchmarks and doing different experiment, trying different committee size, trying different number of validators, different number of aggregators could be something nice to have numbers, even preliminary numbers. My goal also by doing like a self-contained spec with a peer-to-peer layer is that we can experiment with this. We can test new gossip sub algorithm. We can test other stuff than gossip sub. We can test some new stuff. And so, yeah, I imagine that at least for beginning of 2026, then we have also like the fast finality track, but this is another thing. We don't need to discuss that right now, and this is not a topic for the upcoming DevNet. But for the beginning of the year, I think that having these two tracks of post-quantum and peer-to-peer could be like a good stuff to manage. And then, of course, we can check the details, I think, in the different channels that we have. But I think that these two stuff makes a lot of sense. And we want always to prioritize the post-quantum aspect. So as soon as we have new stuff on LeanVM, we should integrate them as soon as possible in the devnets.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, let me also think more about this and yeah, maybe propose how we can do yeah, the topology for the aggregation once we split, well, introduce a new role as aggregator. Yeah, I kind of see it like the nodes they can signal they are aggregators in kind of in ENR address. I mean, have a record that I am an aggregator, and yeah, we can control it this way. Yeah, anyway, a lot of thoughts need to.
I think that your beam sim simulator tool could be quite useful in this context, because here we just mentioned how many validators, how many aggregators we should have, but I think that your beam sim simulator covers all of this, because we can conduct experiment with different number of validators, different number of aggregators, different topologies and stuff. So we can still experimenting with this outside of the devnet, I think.
Yeah, yeah, it should be useful. I mean, it's pretty. Yeah, it was developed long time before the devnets, so some assumptions could be different. But yeah, we're kind of keeping up with this tool, introducing new stuff like soon, for example, that yeah, lean P2P that was presented by Thomas in Cambridge. Yeah. Yeah, we need to rename it. Okay, thanks.
Awesome. Great discussion. We got 10 minutes left. Any other items that people would like to table? Katja.
Yeah, quick update on the sync metrics. So I removed them from the current PR and wrapped into the issue. So currently I would like to have a current slot metric. You can leave your comments in the PR. This metric is in one of the PRs I shared today. And so we can identify the sync just by checking the difference between current slot and head slot. It's like just for the beginning, and whenever the clients will implement their syncing parts, we can improve sync metrics because the implementations may be very different. Why I want a current slot metric? Because just to be sure that all the clients are on the same page. So technically, I can just grab it from Grafana and calculate, but it's better to have from the clients, I guess so. Thank you. Yeah, and I also added, Anna, what we discussed, the target, safe target metric. Please take a look into it and leave your comments as well. So this will help us to follow the target and to quickly investigate finalization failures.
Okay. Thanks, Katya. Last thing I want to do is shill an event. So yeah, this whole effort that we're all part of, the PQ Interop, this was kind of born out of some conversations at Beam Day last year, which was a side event the day before ECC started in Cannes, and we're doing it again. So yeah, sign up if you're interested in attending. I think it was a really successful event last year. It's going to be a small, intimate setting, 80 people. There will be panel discussions and presentations, and hopefully, like the next wave of work that's being worked on by this group and others will be discussed there, or born at this event. So I'll probably show this the next couple of weeks, but I'm just looking forward to some warm weather right now. All right. Great call, Manas. I'm not sure if Clean would be okay with separating out the lean sim just for DevNet sakes. I'm interested in contributing to both that and the network research. Anything you want to add there, Manas?
Oh yeah, I'm just curious if Clean would be okay pulling out the lean sim into a separate repository. Yeah, I would be interested in working on the networking research. I've done some simulation on my part as well, so it would be nice.
Yeah, let me find and share it with you, so you can check it out. But overall, in general, yeah, it's a C++ simulator using an S3 library. Yeah, so it might be a bit hard to read the code, but anyway, if you're curious, yeah, we can discuss.
True. Okay. All right.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. I think that might be the call. Thanks all. Felt really productive. Good to be back. See you again next Wednesday.
Have a good one, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.